Hi, everybody. John Haldy here, and I'm super excited to have Alex Frum with me. Alex, welcome.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
For those of you who don't know Alex, Alex is not only the owner of Alpha Kilo Logistics, and you also do P&D, I believe, right? Is that correct?
Yes, I have 4 P&D operations in North Texas and Oklahoma City.
So P&D and line haul, and you're a co-founder with me of the Line Haul Summit, which we did for the first time last year.
And I'm looking forward to the next one this summer in June.
As am I, although the amount of work is daunting.
Yes, it is always, but it's so rewarding. I think there's nothing better than sitting down and meeting other contractors, picking their brain, learning what they do best, and then trying to incorporate it into your business, after you've returned. I think that's the most valuable part. I'm not going to say that I'm a subject matter expert in every area. I have a strength in finance and in operations, but I'm a novice at maintenance and other areas. And so talking to other contractors and learning how they do things is, it's so important to constantly, move your business forward, figure out a way to generate more profit margin and grow your business.
I couldn't agree more. I don't want to turn this into a shameless plug for the Line Haul Summit, but linehaulsummit.com, get your tickets. The hotel rooms are going fast. We look forward to seeing you there. But we're here today to talk about something very timely, which is peak points, right?
Yes.
I am pretty ignorant on this, so will you bear with me while I ask you a bunch of questions about this?
Yes.
True or false? Peak points are extra points you accumulate during peak season?
Yes. So the way it works is that prior to peak, FedEx will publish to every single contractor what weekly miles they need to hit in order to generate peak points. Okay. And there's 3 tiers, or actually there's 4 tiers. The tier 0 is where you get 0 points. So if you don't hit any, if you continue to just do your regular miles or do less than your normal average miles over the year, then you're going to get 0 points awarded to you.
So wait, let me make sure I get it right. Let's say I'm doing 30,000 miles a week as we go into peak season.
Mm-hmm.
That's my baseline that they've calculated.
Yeah, it's usually a 6-week period at some point during the year. This year was, I believe, I'd have to go back through my notes, but I think it was the week in July. It was like 6 weeks in July and June that they used as your baseline. And then they said that, for you, yours was 30,000 miles. For you to get 10 points, you need to do 10% more than that. So you need to do 33,000 miles.
And they publish it where? MyGroundBiz somewhere?
Yeah, they publish in MyGroundBiz, and actually it's 5%. So they publish it under MyGroundBiz. So if you go into MGBA, so My Biz account. So if you go in there and then you do a search for peak points, you can see what your weekly thresholds were. And then if you go into your peak point run assignments or point run assignments, you can actually see at the bottom of your run assignments, your weekly snapshot, how many points you were awarded each week during peak.
And just dumb question, if they snapshot it in July and you add 3 more runs from a CGO or an acquisition, you could be in gravy train mode during peak.
They go back and figure it out.
Okay.
The one thing they won't do is they won't do unassigned. So if you pick up unassigns during that period, they won't. But if you pick up a dedicated run, they'll go back and add the dedicated run in.
Okay. So if I'm doing 30,000, 30,000 is the baseline they established. They add 5%, 31.5.
Yeah, 31.5 would be your, and then you get 10 points per assigned tractor. Okay, so spares don't count. So it has to be a tractor that is assigned on your A1. So it either holds a dedicated run or it holds an unassigned position. It cannot be a spare that is covering a spot, because spots are not, unless you're a super duper special contractor, no contractor has a spot on their A1. Many contractors have lots of spare tractors, but it's only for the tractors that are assigned a spot, a run, either unassigned or dedicated.
But just so I'm clear, if normally truck number 1 is running that route and it breaks down and you bring in a short-term rental, you'll get points for running that route?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't. I mean, it's only the trucks that you have on your A1.
Got it.
So
Okay.
like if you happen to have 15 trucks on your A1, but you're using 20 trucks during peak, you're only going to get points for those 15 trucks that are on your A1. So you'll get 150 points per truck or per week.
Okay. So you get, and this is on top of the normal points throughout the year for service percentage, right?
Yes. And you typically get roughly around 365 points a year per truck. So you don't have any declines.
So you're accumulating these things like the little tickets at the arcade fair that the kids get, right?
Mm-hmm.
And coming up in February is when you get to do something with those tickets and decide what you want to spend them on, right?
Yeah. So on February 18th, if you go into my biz account, you will be able to actually see the points that you are eligible to award to different tractors. Okay. So we can keep track of it by looking at your run assignment point statement. But, this period right now between the end of peak, January 6th and February 18th, FedEx is doing settlement adjustments, auditing miles. They're doing, different things. And so the points are not finalized until February 18th. Okay. On February 18th, you'll get a note in my biz account that tells you to go check out this thing. There'll be no link, so you'll have to look for it. The easiest way to do it is type into the search bar at the top of my biz account is peak points or line haul run assignment points, and you'll find where to go to see what your actual points are. Then so you'll get to look at them and you can make plans. And then between March 6th and March 20th, you have to allocate those points. If you do not allocate them, they will take those points and then just spread them evenly across all your tractors. Okay.
That's not optimal.
Well, I mean, if you don't care, if you're working in a small little station, it doesn't really matter. Okay. If you're working in a big hub, if you're working in Dallas, Woodbridge, Metuchen, Atlanta, any of the 26 or 28 hubs that FedEx has in their network, it's a big deal. Okay. These points in the bidding process, and we can get into the bidding process in a little bit, account for 40% of your total tractor bid when you're trying to bid on a new dedicated run.
Okay.
So we can talk about that in a little bit.
Once you've assigned the points, the peak points, they're just like the regular points that you're earning with each tractor. Okay. Yeah. But you get to bucket them the way you want strategically.
Yes. And you can move these points. And this is the nice thing for people who work in multiple stations or in multiple terminals, is you can move these points anywhere you want. So say you ran
one time, right?
Yeah, this one time. So say you ran for this year from November 6th from November 3rd to January 6th during peak, you did 10 weeks of 31,500 miles and you had your 15 tractors, right? So you did 10 weeks and you got 150 points per week. So you're going to get to allocate 1,150 points to any tractor that you want.
This reminds me of the kids game Risk.
Yes.
Where you just got 8 new armies. Where do you want to put them? And you got to think about where you're going to go invade.
Well, so it's very important to think about it strategically because, so we know that you only can bid on dedicated runs using unassigned or assigned tractors. Okay. You cannot bid on a dedicated run using a spare because spare tractors hold no points. Okay. So you have to look at your dedicated and unassigned or URR, right? Because you have ARs, assigned runs, and URRs, unassigned runs. You have to look at those two and say, okay, where do I want to put my points? Now, if you work in multiple stations or in multiple hubs, you have to think about who you are competing against. Say you are in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. A brand new RSF facility just went in there, and you happen to have 2 tractors in there, and you have an unassigned tractor in there. Okay. That is a place because it's brand new that probably doesn't take a whole lot of points to win assigned runs on. Okay. And it's probably because it's brand new, a good place where if you talk to the terminal manager, and you have a good relationship with him, he's going to let slip, yeah, we were testing out a couple runs this past 6 months, and we got approval from PGH, and we're going to put up for bid, that St. Louis run that you've been running on a pretty regular basis on the unassigned board. We're probably going to post a Champaign, and we might post a Milwaukee as well. Oh, and so you going back to your nug work and saying, okay, they're going to post 3 runs. I have one unassigned tractor up there. Let me make sure I put a lot of points there so I can get one of those and convert my unassigned tractor into a dedicated. Now, you also happen to be in, say, Woodbridge, where they have 150 contractors, and they have 250 tractors in the, domiciled there. How many points do you think it takes to get a dedicated run in Woodbridge? A lot. Woodbridge is an old terminal. It's been around for a long time. It probably takes 5,000, 6,000 points to get a dedicated solo run. Teams, it might take 3,000, 3,500, maybe even 4,000 points. I mean, from personal experience, I have 2 team tractors that each have 3,600 points, and they're still unassigned.
So there's 2 factors here. What's the likelihood of opportunity in that target market you're looking at?
Mm-hmm.
And then how many other people are going to be fishing those waters?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So if you're strategic about it, you give yourself an edge, but not a guarantee.
No, you cannot give yourself. The only place you could give yourself a guarantee is if you're in a station in a podunk little station. Say you are the only contractor in Quincy, Illinois.
Okay.
Well, guess what? You're the only contractor there. So FedEx has one of 2 choices. They can either bring in a new contractor that they have no relationship with and no idea how good they are, or they can go to you. What do you think are the odds that you're going to get another dedicated run in Quincy, Illinois?
Right.
Pretty high. I would say probably 75%. Or say you're working out of, Grand Island, Nebraska, right? There's a pretty good chance that you're going to get, there's probably 2 contractors, maybe 3 in Grand Island, Nebraska. So your odds of getting that run are 1/3.
Well, you say podunk, but just for the record, if folks are watching, being the only person in Quincy, Wisconsin might not be the worst thing if you got 6.
Oh no, it's great.
Yeah.
No, I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying that's great. I'm not trying to say podunk. I'm trying to say, being the only contractor in a station, especially if the stem miles are great, is probably the most lucrative business you can be in. Okay. So say you're the only contractor in, think about something, that's really spread apart, right? So you say, let's look at Cedar Rapids. The distance between, so Cedar Rapids is probably 250 miles from Chicago, probably 250 miles from Minneapolis, probably 250 miles from St. Louis, probably 275 miles from Champaign. So think about the distance to all the hubs. Olathe and KCMO is probably 300 plus miles. So if you're running solo runs out of that location and you're, doing turns at a hub, you're getting really good miles. You're averaging over 500 miles a night or a day. So that's a great location to be out of. Compare it to, say, Knoxville, Tennessee. That's a decent sized terminal or decent sized station. It's like a super sized station, but it's not a hub yet. But it's
surrounded.
Maybe 175 miles to Nashville. It's 240 to Noki. To Greensboro, it's probably like 220. To Marietta, it's probably like 220. So there you're only getting maybe, 400 and maybe 450 miles a day. So at the end of the day, I'd much rather run 500 miles a day because I'm making more money there than I'm making, running 400 or 490,
So, but there is a risk, right? You could load your points on a terminal, and if you don't get it, now they're trapped there, right?
Yeah. So once you've moved them there, you can never move them back out.
Okay.
And you cannot least I haven't figured it out. Maybe there's a contractor that has figured it out. I don't know how to move a tractor from um um from move a tractor from one domicile to another domicile.
Now, forgive me, but I want to get semantics right. When you talk about Schedule A, you say tractor, it's really the run, right?
Yes.
But there's a tractor number associated with it.
Yes. So for FedEx, every single run is associated with a tractor. Runs are held by that tractor. So when you upgrade that tractor, when you're going through the upgrade process, you're upgrading from tractor 145 900 to tractor 15 900. Then that tractor now holds that run assignment.
But really, conceptually, it's the run, because the truth is, if 145 900 is your tractor, you can swap tractors. You can bring a tractor from another terminal, swap it, and it's still assigned to that other tractor, but you're running.
You can run any run you want on. You can run a tractor on any run that you want, but just so you know, that tractor that's domiciled in, say, Quincy, it can only bid on runs in Quincy. You cannot use that tractor that's domiciled in Quincy to bid on runs in Chicago or in Cedar Rapids or in Olathe.
Right. Okay. So
that's the big thing, because what happens sometimes is, like, you'll be like, oh, I'm going to try to get this run in Memphis, Tennessee. Well, Memphis hasn't put any CGOs out in 5 years. And so now you have a trapped tractor there with 6,000 points on it.
And it's really that you have a trapped run out of Memphis.
Well, you have a trapped assigned tractor, and you can't.
The points can't move.
The points cannot move.
You can move that truck over to Atlanta and run out of Marietta.
Yes.
They don't care.
But the position it holds within FedEx is domiciled in Memphis and cannot be moved.
It almost feels like at some point FedEx should have had a run ID, but their computers didn't allow that. So they said, let's put a tractor number in there and leave it there.
I think, it would be nice if FedEx actually moved out of the 80s and into the 2020s with their technology.
I like my 8-track cassette tape.
I still think you remember those old printers that had like the circles on the side?
Tractor fed printers. Yes.
I think FedEx still uses tractor fed printers.
Of course they do. But it does create some opportunities, because when you have a tractor assigned in a terminal, and this is off topic, but if it gets a better VMR Domcat,
yes,
you can actually move that to a different market and run more miles somewhere else with that better cat, even though it's still assigned to its original domicile.
True, though I will say that in general now, because of what's happened over the last year and a half with inflation, almost all the DOM categories have been moved to B. So now trying to get into a C market is a different story, but I don't think there's many A markets left.
And what are we talking about? 2-3 cents per mile?
I think it's like 2 to 3 cents. Now, I don't know what a C market, I'm not in any C markets, but if I'm struggling in Cincinnati, Memphis, and an Olive Branch, I got to imagine that, guys in Denver, New York, or California are really struggling, even if they're a C. I can't imagine that C is that much higher of a category.
No, I've seen the numbers. It's not, and it certainly doesn't. I think the intent was to address driver costs and adapter costs. It's a drop in the bucket compared to the reality of the disparity between a B and C market.
Yeah. I am definitely not the highest paying contractor in my market, in any of my markets. What I am, by and large, I would say, is I offer great benefits and I care about my drivers. And that means something to the drivers once you hire the right drivers. So I have low turnover and I'm not the highest paid contractor in my market, but I really work my butt off to try to take care of my drivers.
Well, low turnover, though, when you think about the cost of getting a driver in the last 12 months, that's a big savings.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still spend $1,000 a month on Indeed, but that's always trying to find that last one or two drivers. You're always trying to find your last 10%.
And I'm sure, how many drivers you got? 40, 50?
44.
Yeah, I'm sure without naming names, there's two or three of them you wouldn't be upset if you saw the back of.
No, not at all.
No, they're all perfect. Okay. But back to peak points. Let me ask you this. There was a contract change in the last year that basically the language was subtly modified that says that if FedEx so chooses, they can award runs at their whim. They don't have to go through the point process, right?
Yes, and this is a huge point of contention for contractors. I've raised this issue with my terminal manager, with my terminal manager's boss. I've sent emails off to Jeff Grimm. I've not sent any emails off to Kim Wigman or Paul Malander, but I have sent emails off to Jeff Grimm about it. And if you don't know, Jeff Grimm runs east of the Mississippi for FedEx.
Okay.
On the line haul side. So I've sent off emails saying that this opens up the risk of us having another Salt Lake City again. And if you don't remember, Salt Lake City was an incident where a terminal manager and a number of contractors violated federal racketeering and RICO laws by selling and reimbursing and rewarding contractors with runs for money.
Right. Which is a huge no-no. I mean, it's one of those toxic things you never want to do. You can have everything yanked from you overnight.
And so FedEx has assured us that they have plenty of checks and balances in place to ensure that this never happens again. The issue I have is that that's great that FedEx says they have checks and balances in place, but if there's no ability for and no visibility and transparency for contractors, how are we supposed to believe that is what is going on?
I don't want to be an apologist for FedEx, but I have heard a couple stories that make me understand why they want that wiggle room. And for what it's worth, let's say FedEx loses a big customer to UPS.
Mhm.
Somebody in their market suddenly, with a good service record, safety record, suddenly lost 4 trucks worth of business. FedEx wants the ability to kind of manipulate things to try to gap fill for that person who, through no fault of their own, just took a big sharp stick in the eye, right?
Yes.
And maybe FedEx is realigning their overall freight board, and they used to go through, I don't know, Little Rock, and now it's going through Memphis, and the guy in Little Rock just suddenly got creamed with lack of volume because they rearranged their overall freight flow. So I get why they sometimes want the ability to say, this is an exception, we're doing it, and we need to make some changes to make it whole.
Yeah, so FedEx has said over and over again that the reason why they're doing this, and contractors are going to start experiencing this because we are going through a freight recession within FedEx right now, is that terminal managers, since MLK weekend have been looking at their runs and looking at their freight volumes and determining, we used to use this number for Chicago 7 days a week. Now it's only running 3 days a week. What is happening? Is it a function of the fact that we are no longer allowed to run empty to Chicago, and so we don't have as much volume? Or is it, customer mix, or is it, what is going on? And so they're going through all their runs right now. And, I think that what you're going to see is people are going to start losing their, those lower number or higher number dedicated runs are going to get terminated, and contractors are going to get reassigned to the unassigned board. And so if you look in the contract, FedEx has the right due to freight to terminate dedicated runs. I've had it happen to me in the past. I've had team runs, very lucrative team runs, get terminated, and my tractors have been put onto the unassigned board. That is probably the worst thing that can happen. Think about losing a 5,500 mile a week run, and all of a sudden that run turns into the unassigned board. Not only did I lose a team, because my team said, you know what, I'm not going to go, take the chances of running, I want the stability of running on a dedicated run. But not only did I lose that, but now I have the vagaries of maybe running 3,700 miles this week, 5,000 miles next week, 2,200 miles the week after that. And so it put a real crimp on my business.
Mhm.
Now, Under the old model, that tractor will continue to sit on the unassigned board until, FedEx posts a new CGO and I get awarded run. And I can bid on that run. Now, under the new model, maybe somebody, the terminal manager in one of my domiciles will say, you know what, Alex, you've been very, you've been, running a 95%, service rate on this unassigned team. We're going to offer you the opportunity to take on this run. They might. I appreciate it, and it's great and all. I still would prefer, realistically, I still prefer the transparency of everybody having to go through the CGO process.
So you mentioned that the points is 40% of the evaluation, right? There's a formula.
Yes.
Some people feel like with this new contract change, points are now worthless. And I don't agree with that. Do you?
I don't think they're as valuable as they used to be.
Okay.
I think the area that is the most valuable right now is your safe operations. That is where the greatest amount of, I think that's the greatest variable that you have. Okay. Because in general, there's not going to be a whole lot of difference between the tractors. Okay. Unless something crazy happens, everybody's going to be right around the same level of bidding on tractors. You've been if you're in Noki, everybody's bidding around everybody's probably got around 4,000 points to bid on a tractor.
Okay.
Give or take a couple hundred points. So in the grand scheme of things, that's not that big a deal. Okay. So that's worth 40%. So you take that, so that the top tractor, the tractor that has the most points, is going to get 40%. Okay. And then every tractor below that is going to get a percentage of whatever that tractor has. Okay. It's really stupid math, but the way they do it is they take that first tractor has 40,000 points. That next tractor has 3,900 points. You take 3,900 out of 4,000 and multiply it by 40%. And that's what that tractor gets. Okay.
Okay.
It's not
perfect, but it's
not perfect, but it works. Okay. Your service and availability thresholds are each worth 10%. Okay. Service means how many times has your loads failed to arrive at a destination on time? Okay. Availability means how many times are you declining? Okay. There's a tiering system that goes through it. It's meaningless. You're pretty much always going to get 10%. Okay. You would have to have a really bad you'd have to have really bad service not to get the full 10%. And if you have that bad of service, you have a different issue. You're probably not, you might not be keeping your contract much longer.
So 40, 10, and 10, what's the remaining 40%?
Okay. So 20% goes to safety technology. Okay. This means that all your tractors have FCAM in them. All your tractors are doing your vetter stuff. Okay. So that's safety technology.
Don't most people have all that, or is there still a lot of folks not equipped?
FCAM, not everybody still has FCAM. I would say, I think this past year we had to get to 70%. And this summer we have to get to 90%.
Okay.
So there are still guys out there operating without, who don't get the full 100% points for FCAM.
Okay.
And then vetter, there's a lot of people who are still struggling with the KIs for vetter.
Okay.
If you have issues, if you're a Lytics user, give me a call. I can walk you through, I can help you out. I'm not going to say I'm an expert at Lytics, but I know all the ways to make sure that you are getting, all your vetter KIs. If you're a ground cloud user, I'm sure John can point you in the direction of a contractor who is a subject matter expert on ground cloud.
Yep.
Or if worst comes to worst, if we can't solve your problems, I will put you on the phone with somebody from Lytics, and John probably can get you on the phone with somebody from ground cloud.
Happy to.
Between those two systems, that's probably 80 or 90% of the contractor base.
I actually know a few customers who do both, so they would be happy to share their pros and cons and all that stuff.
So yeah, so we can solve your problems on vetter. If you're not getting 100% from vetter, then talk to us. We can solve that problem.
So the 20% for safety technology, and then the last 20?
SRI score.
Got it.
Okay.
You said we were going to come back to that.
Yes, and that's where it's a that's where the rubber meets the road. And that's the big delineation between contractors. Okay. Because they have 4 tiers, right? They have 5 tiers, but in essence, they have 4 tiers, because if you're tier 1, you can't be bidding on a run anyways. Tier 2, you get penalized. So if you're tier 2, you're going to only get 80% at that point. Okay. If you're tier 3, you get 85%, tier 4, you get 90%, and tier 5, you get 100%. No one's tier 5. Okay. But actually, I think tier 4 might even be 95%. But so there's a big delineation. So if you're tier 2, you really get penalized. Most contractors are between tier 3 and tier 4.
Well, if most contractors,
Remembering that tier 5, it's reverse logic. The higher the tier you are, the better your safety score is.
isn't that the way DEF CON works or something like that? Or no, that's the other way. DEF CON 1's happy time, right?
Yeah, and DEF CON 5, it means that we're about to go to war. Yeah.
But at the same time, if you're getting a tier 2, 80% of your points, and you're getting 95% at tier 4, and the whole thing's 20% weight, it's not that big of a movement, is it? It's just tier 1 that kills you.
Well, no, think about it this way. Okay. So say you have that 4,000 point tractor, right? So you get 40%, you get 40% there. Okay.
Okay.
And you get your 10% for, you get your 20% for service and availability, right? So you're at 60% right now.
Okay.
This is the way that FedEx does the math. Okay. Then you have your 20% for FCAM. Actually, let's say you get your 20% for FCAM. Okay.
Okay.
Now you're only getting 10 points for your safe operations, because you are a tier 2.
That was 50% of the bucket. I thought you said it was 80%.
Yeah, but I mean, remember, it's worth 20. It's worth, so 80% of
20 is 16.
Yes, it is. But how do they do this? You get 5 points if you're tier 4. You get 10 points if you're tier 3. You get 15 points if you're tier 4, and you get 20 points if you're tier 5.
I think you had that upside down.
Okay, maybe it's the other way around. You get 20 points if you're tier 5. You get 20 points. You get 100%.
Right. Okay. Oh, I see. You get the full 20%.
Yes.
Okay. So when you were talking about 80% for tier 2, it's actually 25% of the potential.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes more sense. Got it. Okay.
So it's 80% of the 100%. It's like I said, it's not intuitive math.
Is this published somewhere?
No.
Oh.
There is a presentation that there is a presentation on it that you can ask your terminal manager for. But I do not believe it is published. The name of the presentation, if you want it, is called, and don't ask me how I got it. I will not divulge my sources. And don't say that I suggested that you reach out to this. It is called,
it's like the Pentagon Papers.
I
can't believe I'm poised to write this down. I don't have a terminal manager. Who am I going to ask?
It's called the Frequently Asked Question SRS and SRI and MGBA. It's a long. There's a frequently asked questions that they provided to BDS that they were supposed to provide to us. And then there is another presentation called the TSP bid process. That they are also proposed to provide to us that they didn't.
I will see if I can't use my resources to get my hands on these things.
But I can share both of the PDFs with you.
Not with me. It's probably confidential.
Oh, yeah, good point.
So
I can probably provide them to other contractors.
That I'm fine with, but don't break any rules for me.
Good point. So yeah, those are those two things. So anyways, like I was saying, you're only getting, say you only get 5 points because you're tier 2, right? Now the other contractor said, we said had 3,900 points on his tractor, right? So he gets 3,900 divided by 4,000.
He's getting almost the full bucket on there. He's
Times 40%.
Yeah.
So he gets 39 points.
So this is where the pendulum can swing big in or against you is the safe.
Yes. And then he has 20, and then he has 20, and then he has 10, but he's tier 3.
So let me go back to where we started then. I'm going to play devil's advocate. Who cares about peak points? Or should you? Because it takes 30 minutes and you're done and you can be smart and game the system in your favor.
It matters a lot. You have to strategically think about it and understand where the assigned runs are coming. Where's the growth in the network going? Okay. So for example, I'm in Memphis and Olive Branch, right? I have unassigned tractors in Memphis and in Olive Branch. They're 19 miles apart. Okay. Olive Branch was built recently. Memphis is the very first terminal that FedEx ever had. It actually dates back to the RPS days.
Okay.
So the opportunities for me to grow in Memphis versus the opportunities for me to grow in Olive Branch are very different. One, I need to have a lot more points in Memphis to grow than I do need to have in Olive Branch. Two, the number of opportunities to grow are much smaller in Memphis than they are in Olive Branch. Memphis just doesn't have the dock space, doesn't have the number, it doesn't have the number of tractors, it doesn't have the number of wings. They can't process as many loads. There's the sales footprint for the territory is smaller than Olive Branch. Okay, these are all things that you have to think about. So what comes in, from the local area that comes in on the overnight or from P&D, from spotted trailers and from P&D pickups, that is what builds the volume up for Memphis in general, on top of whatever gets brought in on the main line, as a relay.
So dumb question, and apologies because I'm ignorant. You mentioned a few times, if you have an unassigned somewhere, the points are a great way to try to convert it to assigned.
Right.
Does it also apply that the points could be used if you had just assigned, but they were thinking about creating some new runs and they were going to take RFIs?
So say I have a tractor in Memphis right now, okay? And it does a short run. It goes to Little Rock and back every day. That's 300 miles. It's great because I have stability on that run, and I can put, and some driver wants to be on that instead of being on the unassigned board, but I'm only making at most 2,100 miles a week, right? Now but that tractor has been growing, has been adding points and been growing. I've had it for 10 years. So it has 3,600 points. And then I just had a blowout year. And I did, like you said, I'm going to add my 1,150 points to that tractor. So I'm going to get it to 4,600. Why? Because I know that FedEx Memphis is going to terminate one of their team runs because they're struggling to source teams. And they're going to put in place a solo relay run. Okay, this is something that Memphis has been doing recently. And this run is going to run to Birmingham, Alabama every day. Okay. Instead of going to Little Rock, which is 152 miles, I get to go to Birmingham, Alabama, which is 251 miles. So I could take that truck that is dedicated in Little Rock on a Little Rock run and bid on this Birmingham run. And if I win it, I just increased the equity value of my business. My business is now worth, so it's doing 2,100 miles a week. So it's doing 104,000 miles a year to a truck that's now doing 150,000 miles a year. I just increased the equity of my business probably by about 30%.
So you can use them outside of just the switching and unassigned.
Yes.
Okay. Got it.
So, and that's something to think about. Like if you have short runs, but high point tractors, think about converting them, think about you instead of putting your points on your unassigned tractor, think about, converting that dedicated run into a longer mile or a higher mileage dedicated run.
Got it. Alex, looking at the clock, we both got a meeting we have to attend in a few minutes.
Yes.
Go Line Haul Summit. Yay. I want to thank you for taking time to explain all this. I apologize that I kind of took you all over the map, but it was fascinating listening to you.
No, it's my pleasure. I mean, I think this is, with the number of new contractors in the space over the last couple of years, this is an area that there's a lot of confusion about, not a great deal of understanding, and not an appreciation for the strategic thinking that you need to have. And this is why, like right now, we're doing our line haul BRMs, our business review meetings. And so not only is FedEx, this is an opportunity where FedEx is going to tell you how you perform during peak, but this is a phenomenal opportunity for you to engage with the terminal and FedEx to talk about your growth potential, your growth desires, and learn from FedEx where they think the growth is going to be. So this is where in past years, FedEx informed me that, hey, we are going to be transitioning some of our runs from terminal A to terminal B because we're opening up a new sort facility there. Would you like to be one of the first contractors into this terminal? Think about the opportunities you might have as being one of the first contractors in a brand new terminal.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't take a lot of points to win a run in a brand new terminal because you all start with 0.
Mm-hmm. Binghamton, Aurora, etc. A lot of them.
So this is a great opportunity. So use the BRM not only to learn about how you're doing, but use it as an opportunity to learn what's going on in your region, in your terminal, and in the network.
I couldn't agree more. Alex, is it okay when we publish this video to provide your contact info? So if folks want to talk to you more about this, they can reach out directly?
Definitely. I'm always willing to help out fellow contractors.
And that's not hollow words. Tim Flint and I dove into the Line Haul Summit because we have companies trying to serve this community. You were the one person who said, I will do this simply because I want to help others. Huge shout out to you for that.
Well, I appreciate it. I do expect some bourbon to be involved in it at the Line Haul Summit, so, I'm appreciative of Buffalo Trace and, Four Roses. So, if you really want to find a way to my heart, we can have long conversations at the bar at the Line Haul Summit about any topic anybody wants.
You will see me next to him because I owe him a whole lot of this. So I will be next to you doing that. As always, if folks want to contact me, I'll put my contact info. We have a new business coaching team led by David Cooper and Steve Crawford, who are happy to do this if Alex doesn't have time to help you directly. But a million thanks, Alex, for sharing your wisdom and your time today. And I look forward to our next conversation, which I'm hoping will be about SRI and safety score, because I have a lot of questions about that.
Yes, I think that would be, next month, I'm totally open to doing one about SRI and safety scores.
Very cool. Well, thank you. Have a great day.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.